Hello, this is Untitled, and today I'm going to talk about a game which I've wanted for a long time, and I just got around to finally buying it on Steam during the summer sale. This is going to be kind of a review-ish episode. The game, why, there we go, is Hard Truck Apocalypse. It's this kind of vehicle combat trading thing, I guess is the best way of putting it. Unfortunately, it's not difficult to describe. Basically, you go around trading items, uh, killing people that attack you, and so on and so forth. It's kind of like Freelancer on the ground, and with Freelancer, there was trading, there was ship upgrades, there's weapon upgrades. So yeah, I guess Freelancer on the ground is the best way to describe it. Um, It's kind of old, is the biggest complaint I'd level at it. The gravity doesn't seem to work properly. The physics isn't quite right. It's a simcade game, so it's kind of a simulation and an arcade game. Uh, all the simulation is done kind of in an arcadey kind of fashion. Um, well, let's load up. Like I got tons of saves here. The old ones from my first vehicle, my second vehicle, my third vehicle, and the vehicle I currently have. I spent maybe 11 hours in the game so far, and I think I'm only about halfway to three-quarters of the way through it. So it'll last you for a while. I was originally planning on doing this kind of review thingy kind of in a more professional manner. It's just like then when I was recording the audio, it's just like this is taking way too long. Okay, let's back up. So you gotta hit your horn to enter the settlements. You got different quests. The first one was deliver the South, return to father, avenge your father's death, show local villagers to Alice, teach brigands a lesson. Um, Maps. Maps are very important because they show you where the settlements are. They also have like the descriptions of the settlement and also the merchandise you can buy there. So currently I'm at South. This was originally a German game, and there's some issues with the translation. No, not German, Russian. It was originally a Russian game, so there are issues with the translation in some areas. But yeah, you can buy sell potatoes, scrap metal, wood, oil, bottles. I there's two things I can think of here. Either it's actual glass bottles or alcohol. I prefer to think it's alcohol because that makes sense. Fuel oil, machinery, tobacco, books, and electronics. I've gotten to the point where books are the primary thing dropped by enemies so long as I am in the area that I have progressed up to. And they sell for a lot, so that's good. You can also use this button here to bookmark certain areas. So if you want to set up like a special trade route, so I pick up wood here in south, drive down to Zymka, sell the wood, pick up potatoes, and then go back up to the south to sell the potatoes. And then you can also, well, the issue is like some of these areas don't make sense because like no one sells anything besides a certain thing. Like the next area that's north of here only has scrap metal and wood, and that's it. And it's just like, okay, what the fuck do you guys eat? And it like potatoes is not a lucrative what's the word I'm looking for? It's not a lucrative trade route. It's just like, okay, I've made it up to machinery. Why the fuck would I go back to potatoes? Um, there's also a glossary of everything, the history of every. This is like the main character's journal, different books. There's books on masks. Some people still ask why we are wearing masks. The answer is very simple: to live. The air of our world is poison, so a single breath of it would kill the strongest person. Catastrophe took many lives. Took the lives of many before the masks were invited. So, of all the creatures formerly inhabiting our planet, only we humans managed to survive. I think they did this partially because they didn't want to 3D model the animals, I will admit, 3D modeling animals is hard, animating them is harder, so I can fully understand that. Our relationships with different factions, vagabonds, farmers union, adventurers, nomads, and Felix's gang. You can't kill anyone you bloody well please, and this will affect your relationship with them. The issue I'm having is that there's no way of gaining reputation with these factions. So I pissed off the adventurers by accidentally blowing one of them up when I shot a rocket at a enemy that was ramming into one of their vehicles. The explosion took out both the vehicles, and then they were pissed off at me. Statistics, blah, 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 a bunch of stuff. Merchandise sold, 31. Shots made, 1231. Hit ratio, 61%. With shotgun weapons, it counts each one of the bullets as a hit, but you've only fired the gun once, so it's very easy to screw up the hit ratio in this game. And there's an encyclopedia of their different vehicles. So you start with the van. The enemies have chinches, scouts, cockroaches, and fighters. You can talk to people in a bartender. Like I said, it's very much just like a ground-based freelancer clone, and I like it. The driving's not that weird and turns into a find the shortcut contest. Do you have any work for me? The hunting season is open. The more enemies you kill, the more money you get. We pay 117 coins for every cold body. I'm going to agree to this, but I'm not going to do it because I'm just going to load into another save with one of the better vehicles. Now you'll notice that there's this black line here. The front and rear of the vehicles are separated out into different parts. And then you can switch them out, buy them. There's different upgrades you can get, like additional fuel tanks, which can be put into these smaller slots here. Guns cooling system, which increases reload rate and increases weapon fire rate. That goes into that slot here. And everything's based on a grid system. I like and don't like this because everything, all the things here, as far as I can tell, all of them take up 2x2 spaces, just like technically, potatoes can be any size you want. It's like a lot of this stuff could have been like just quarter the price and make sure we can carry more of the dang things, because weapons, it kind of makes sense that they're this size. I mean, technically the Hornet could probably be a 1x2, but yeah. And that's the only issue I'm having with it right now. Not for sale, ran out of them. And it's the only real complaint I have about the trading system is just the size of different components. Now, the vehicles, like I said, they have both front and back, which do change the look, and there's also different modifiers you can get on the different weapons and parts. So, Excellent Mule has more, well, actually, this is worse than the one I currently have. But there's a max structure, which is the hit points, armor system. I'm not exactly sure how the armor system works in this game, because once in a while, okay, you have 500 armor and I just blew you up. How'd that happen? I don't know, unfortunately. Then you got damage resistances for piercing ammo, explosives, and energy weapons. The energy weapons are not good in this game because everything is very expensive to repair. Right now, I'm at the point where it costs, if I get heavily damaged, it costs about 100,000 of the in-game currency to repair that. It's not a lot of money at that point because everyone drops books and books are expensive, but it is kind of annoying. So you got fuel tank capacity, body space. Body space is the cargo capacity. Max speed, 106 kilometers an hour, so about 40-50 miles per hour. Engine power, 58 horsepower, I assume. Weight, control, how fast you can turn around. The two different parts, the front and the back. Now, also the with every one of these different upgrades, you could also get different weapon slots and different equipment slots, and that's shown on the third screen here for the weapons groups. Like here, this one has a 2-slot rear, and that's usually for mine layers, turbo buttons, stuff like that. I never have picked up a mine layer in this game. It just seems completely freaking useless. Turbo's the one thing I'm currently using, but I'm not sure if the game may have crashed before that happened. Now, since this is an older game, the game is actually starting off in 4x3, you'll need to edit some config. I should have said that earlier, but you got to edit some config files to make sure that it's in 16:9 like it is now. Most of the menus are image files, so everything will be a bit stretched, but everything renders correctly. All the 3D elements render correctly. Just see all the different weapons. The vectors aren't that good. They're a heavy machine gun that the rate of fire just hits me as something wrong. It's too slow. But that's just me, really. So yeah, let's back out of this. Unfortunately, you cannot access the options menu while in town. I wish they would have done that. But let's load up, like, as you go forward, you'll get better vehicles. Like, my van here only has one gun slot. The lorry, the next gun, truck you pick up, starts off with a single gun slot, but you can also get a different front that you can mount a 2x2 weapon on. Okay, there we go. Alright, so I have that 2x2 weapon on the front. I also have a 2x3 cannon. The sound design is fairly good in the game, and there are weather effects, but they don't affect anything. You know, like I said, the game kind of turns into a find the shortcut contest, unfortunately. So, there are very few invisible walls anywhere. You do have to worry about flying, because if you land on anything other than your wheels, you will take damage, and there's even damage you can take ramming into things. You can see my health at the top. The green bar went down after I rammed into that wall. You also have to worry about your fuel. I know that was a lot louder for me than it was for you. I know that. So, at the in-game menu, top left, radar does not show, it's not a GPS. It just shows enemies. I wish it was a GPS, because then I wouldn't have to bring up the map every 5 seconds to figure out where I'm going. Then there's objective pointers for 3 separate objectives. You cannot have more, as far as I can tell. Shows you the direction and distance to your next target. So it does kind of act like a GPS system, but it doesn't show the map, the local map, mini-map. Then you, at the very top left, health. Then you have the armor status in the center. Lately, when I think the biggest vehicle in game right now, and as far as I can tell, it don't do jack shit. Then you also have your fuel gauge, the blue bar on your right. It is something to worry about, especially when you get up to the more fuel-guzzling vehicles, but honestly, if you manage it correctly, it's not a problem. And then your speedometer on the top right. On the far right, then you have the weapon slots, the machine gun, which slowly counts down and can be reloaded manually. And right now I have the rapier cannon. That's basically what it is right now. Right now, where I am in game, I'm trying to find a, because you can switch out the front and back of the vehicles, I'm trying to find a particular part, and I think a particular, okay, now, okay, we're finishing. Where I currently am in game, I'm trying to find a particular front and back that would allow me to put more guns on it. Right now in game, right now with the video, there are certain areas, like, it's good to explore. It's good to look around and see what's around you. You'll generally find these crates either that are just, I don't think they're procedurally generated at all, and when you get into fights, enemies will also drop these. But you can pick up different crates, and this one has some fuel, which I can sell for about 2,000 credits, and oil, which I can sell for about 800. Not the best payday, but it certainly will help. Now, the next truck I'm going to show you is the Ural. And this is, well, it's got, this one, at least this configuration, has three shotgun turrets, and then I also put a minigun turret on there. Well, it's a quad 20mm cannon, anti-air fire. Now, you can get plasma guns and stuff like that on here as well. additional durability. There's tons of stuff that affects how vehicles move about and stuff. The flags here are actually grenade shotguns, so I shoot something with some actual, but that wasn't spectacular. Eviscerate the proletariat. Okay, that was a little silly. Anyways, like I said, these are shotgun grenade launchers, which means they fire just like a shotgun, many little bullets, but each bullet is also an explosive, so they do have splash damage. And this is an ant. And this is a dead ant. Anyways, this configuration is very strong, very easy to drive. I don't even think I hit that guy directly. The splash damage just took care of him. Ooh. Now, one of the issues that is wrong with the game, or at least that I've found, is that once in a while there's invisible walls around the entirety of the outside of the map. So you'll run into those if you try driving somewhere the game doesn't want you to. That's fine, because that's the edge of the map. Everywhere else, so long as it's like inside the map boundaries, there are no invisible walls as far as I can tell. Now, with the physics being a little wonky as it is, once in a while you can run over things that will kill you. That was loud. I'll have to go through the footage and make sure, like, if you knock one of these over, there's a special way you can run it over where it will cause you to blow up. I don't think it's going to happen now because I'm actually trying to force it, but everything remains solid if it hits the ground, so you can become stuck on top of trees, the lampposts, and I missed. But only in the case where you're just going to run is it ever useful to have a mine layer, and I usually don't ever run. Now, right now I'm going at 150 kilometers an hour, which is only about 75 miles per hour, unfortunately. So everything is, it feels fast. It feels, most of the vehicles feel very responsive, and an exception to my one that I'm currently using simply because it has the most storage space out of anything I can find. The Ural is fairly good, and I got a ton of machinery just from fighting those guys. I'm not showing this very well at all, but like I just can't do the voiceover thing. It's not something I'm equipped to do, unfortunately. Okay, now this is the truck I'm currently have. It's not the best equipped vehicle. I mean, it's got 2 heavy cannons and two 2x3s and 2 2x2s. The 2x2s have faggots on them right now, which are kind of a plasma gun. And I'm still sticking with the rapiers as a 2x3. They just seem to be one of the better ones. But the plasma guns are loud. They kind of explode. The lasers in the game don't actually act like lasers. I think they should have just copy and pasted the effect that they had for the light machine guns and stuff that they had early on in the game, because quite frankly that looks more like a laser than the pulses that they decided to go with. Yeah. But as it stands, the game is, at least for me, it seems fairly fun. I mean, there was a Flash game that was very much like this, except for it was just a different it was a Flash game, so obviously no 3D or anything like that. But right now, I'm just trying to find 2 different parts, the entire glossary here in the encyclopedia, for my Bellas here. A Terminator and a Thunder. Thunder pretty much has the same configuration of what I have right now, except for it has more armor. And the Terminator looks like it has a 3x3 on top and maybe a 3x2 or a 2x2 here, which would allow me to have just much bigger guns. But I can't seem to figure out where the balls they put the damn thing. Oh yeah, this is... Where were you? Turbo, here we go. Now, the other thing with the small 1x2, 2x1 parts that go on the back of the vehicle is that they require ammo. So I'll be reloading this next time I hit a position. The battle chatter is not what I would call engaging, unfortunately. The only, like, early on in the game, my character kept on saying, "It's hot." And just weird stuff like that whenever an enemy would appear. I mean, it's good because it told me, hey, there's an enemy coming at you, but it's just like, yeah, you said it in such a way that it's just like, I wanna, it doesn't sound good at all. And you got Vulcan miniguns, plasma cannons, heavy assault rifles, everything. And I can't say it's the best game on the planet. It does have its faults. But for the most part, I found it enjoyable. And since it's only $2.50 generally on sales, I'd say it's something that you got to pick up and try at least a little bit. There's also an expansion, standalone expansion pack, which has better combat elements, so they say, but worse. It doesn't have as good of a story, and I forgot to reassign the key bindings, which is just great. I mean, 1, 2, left, right, and middle mouse clicks, all the way up to 5. To me, that says that there's either going to be more parts and vehicles and stuff, and no one ever has done a complete review on this game, but even now, I'm just kind of doing a midway impressions. I can suggest the game. I can't suggest it to everyone, but I can suggest that you at least try it, and since it's a fairly inexpensive game, I can't see where you could fault yourself for doing that. But this thing usually goes at 130 kilometers an hour. I am now almost, well, I was getting up to 190 kilometers an hour thanks to the turbo. And each one of those reloads costs about 10 credits, I think. So it's not cheap to do this, but it's that little extra boost if you want to get away from your enemies, just something that you're going to want. Okay, so the worst part about the game, I'd have to say, is probably the story elements. It's just kind of basic, and since it was originally in Russian, they kind of just picked up Johnny on the spot off the street, someone with no acting ability whatsoever, and said, "Hey, yeah, could you read these lines for us?" And unfortunately, the guy did, and yeah. And I almost got stuck on top of him. And the graphic, the story, basic. Father was killed by someone. You ran into a gang, pissed them off. You assume it's the gang. You go kill them. Figure out some chick you met saw it. She points you in the wrong direction. You go kill them. You find her again, and then she finally tells you the truth, and now you're going after the truth now, hopefully. Along the way, you kill a lot of people, and that's basically the game, unfortunately. Setting is post-apocalyptic. Ow. Now, the enemies aren't what I would say as gifted with intelligence. I think this is the first time any of the enemies have actually tried to run away from me, or maybe it's just attacking something else. Yeah. Ow. And I got this caravan adventurer behind me. Like I said, I pissed them off a while ago, and I haven't figured out how to get it back into their good graces. Wow. They do not want scrap metal. Like, oh, you just sold us 29 scrap metal. It's just like, we don't want it. The the economy system isn't what I'd call great because it seems like they don't value having a lot on hand. Generally, the price will drop below sustainable levels after you sell them 10 or 20 of any one item. Personally, I think that should be in the hundreds rather than just a 10 or 20, but I assume like a single unit is like a ton, hopefully, or logically. That's the only reason I can think of why the prices would go up or down so dang quickly. And still, right now I'm just trying to figure out where I can get those two parts, components, I guess sections is one of the better words I can think of, for my lens here. Because I like this truck, I just want to see what else there is out there. And right now I have the best configuration I can find, and I know there's a better configuration out there. And you can see my fuel gauge going down. This thing just guzzles gas, and I'm glad that gas is relatively inexpensive. So, right now, I can suggest the game. It's not for everyone, but it is certainly worth having and playing for a little while, at least in my opinion. It is a little mindless, but that's relaxing once in a while for people. They just find the shortcut. The only thing I wish they'd had was for some of the... Like, the turbo doesn't tell you what the engine power increase is or how long it lasts. It's one bit of information I'd like to have. But machine guns, rocket launchers, cannons, plasma guns, lasers. Yeah, I think it's worth buying and checking out. The sale's going to be... The sale goes on every single time they have one of these large sales, so... I'll probably be posting this on Monday and switch around my order a little bit so that I can. So if people watch the video and decide they want it, oh well, fuck. That sound right there was the game crashing, and unfortunately, since this is an older game, there are issues with it crashing. Unhandled exception, XCOM code, flags, please report. It is kind of an older game, so there are crashes. That's almost killed my game. That has almost killed me playing the game, but I find it enjoyable. I mean, it's something new at least. It has objectives. You're like, it's a type of game that I can easily self-focus myself into and say, yeah, this is enjoyable. I want that. I want to try this. Does this work well? Does this work well? And for me, that's enjoyable. There's probably some other fixes I can go through to make sure that there aren't as many crashes as I'm having. Generally, I experience a crash maybe once every 5 hours or so. So I guess I was overdue for one because I played for about 11 hours of gameplay. So yeah, once every 2 hours. I can't say it because there have been times when I forgot to save, and autosaves can break the game. Like when it tries to autosave after leaving a town, it'll just say, "Yeah, guess what? I'm gonna crash on you," and I find that it's a little annoying, so I turn that off. The game does have extensive autosave functionality. Or not autosave, quick save. You can keep up to 5 quick saves alive at any one time, and there's different profiles you can have. So if multiple people want to play on the same machine, that's perfectly possible. Um, yeah, I would suggest getting it. That is wholly up to you, however. Metacritic completely banned it. I'm not exactly sure why. It's not the worst driving game I've played over the years. But, yeah, that's just me. This has been Demonocalypse. I thank you for watching. Right now, my job is completely kicking my ass when it comes to my sleep schedule. And hopefully I can get back into making at least steady videos, if not regular videos, if not the best videos, because I'm certainly not the best. Anyways, thank you for watching. Bye.